Meet Akari, successful, sharp, and seemingly unbreakable. But right now, inside this cold office bathroom stall, her world is spinning. Her hands are trembling so hard she can barely hold her phone. Minutes ago, her director humiliated her in front of the entire team. It wasn't about the work, it was about power. And Akari? She feels powerless. She's scrubbing away the tears, terrified someone will see the weakness behind her expensive blazer. But here's the truth, Akari isn't weak. She's just fragile. Like so many of us in this modern world, she has become a crystal vase. Beautiful, polished, and high-achieving, but one sharp blow, and she shatters into 1,000 jagged pieces. Think about your own life. How many times has a single sentence from a stranger, or a snide comment on Instagram, completely ruined your entire day? How much of your happiness is currently held hostage by the opinions of people who don't even know your soul? We live in an age of emotional volatility. We react to everything, but we control nothing. We are exhausted by the effort of staying perfect, while the world throws stones at our glass walls. This is the modern burnout, not of the body, but of the spirit. But the samurai of old didn't want to be crystal. They wanted to be stone. They practiced a secret that allowed them to walk through chaos and criticism with a calm smile. They called it Fudoshin, the immovable mind. Fudoshin isn't about not feeling. It's the ability to remain calm in the eye of the storm, to feel the emotion rising, to acknowledge the pain, but to not be moved by it. Imagine being so grounded that an insult feels like rain on a mountain. It washes over you, but the mountain remains. In this video, I'm not going to tell you to just be positive. That is a lie for the weak. I'm going to show you how to build a heart that is so strong. It becomes a sanctuary for your own peace. We will learn to stop shattering like glass and start standing like the rock. Stand tall, warrior. The path to your immovable mind begins. Right, no. Akari returns to the place that should be her sanctuary. But as the door clicks shut, the silence is deafening. She drops her keys, but she cannot drop the weight of the day. It follows her like a shadow that refuses to fade. In the dark of her room, the voices begin. They aren't her own. They are the echoes of everyone else. Her director's voice cuts through the stillness. You missed the mark, Akari. Again. Her family's expectations hum in the background like a low-frequency fever. Why aren't you married? Why aren't you more? The pursuit of the perfect woman is a race with no finish line. And Akari is running it in heavy armor she never asked to wear. She stares at the ceiling, her eyes wide, her heart racing. This is the weight of others' shadows. This is emotional burnout. The moment your inner fire turns to ash because you've spent it warming people who let you freeze. We often think anxiety is something that happens to us from the outside, but the truth is far more uncomfortable. Modern anxiety is the result of a subtle, daily betrayal of the self, a surrender of your internal borders. Every time you value a stranger's critique over your own truth, you hand over the keys to your own dojo. As Akari lies there in the cold moonlight, she comes to a terrifying realization about the state of her soul. Her mind is no longer her own. It has become a territory occupied by foreign, hostile powers. She has allowed the armies of social pressure and professional fear to set up camp in her most sacred space. She didn't just lose her peace. She invited the chaos in, offered it a chair, and let it dictate the rules of her life. We are all like Akari. We build walls against the world, yet we leave the gates to our hearts wide open for any intruder. But a samurai knows that a fortress is only as strong as its gatekeeper, and Akari has been asleep at her post. Her first battle won't be fought at the office tomorrow. It won't be fought at the next family dinner. It will be fought right here, in the heavy silence of her bedroom, reclaiming the land that was always hers. The realization stings like a blade, but it is the first breath of air she has truly taken in months. For the first time since this cycle began, Akari doesn't just feel tired. She feels a spark of righteous anger. She is ready to stop being a victim of the shadows and start being the warrior of her own light. To reclaim her dojo, Akari needed a weapon that wasn't made of steel. She needed a weapon made of spirit. In the ancient scrolls of the samurai, there is a word for the power she sought: Fudoshin. It is a concept that sounds simple, yet it takes a lifetime to master. Fudoshin. Fudo means immovable or unshakable. Shin is the heart and the mind, combined as one single entity. Together, they describe the immovable mind, a state of existence that remains undisturbed by any external force. This isn't just a philosophy for monks in quiet temples. This was a survival tool for the greatest duelists in history. Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated legend of Japan, wrote about this mastery in his masterpiece, The Book of Five Rings. Musashi taught that both in fighting and in everyday life, you should be determined, though calm. He insisted that even in the heat of a duel, your mind must be exactly the same as when you are at peace. Think about the radical nature of that statement. When your heart is racing and the pressure is at its peak, your internal state should remain as still and clear as a mountain lake at dawn. For Akari and for you, this means that the chaos of the office and the silence of the duel are the same thing. Many people mistake Fudoshin for coldness or a lack of emotion. They think it means becoming a robot. But Fudoshin is not apathy. It is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending the pain isn't there. It is actually the highest form of courage. It is the bravery to remain centered while the world falls apart. It is what the masters called the absolute stability of being, a house built on a rock that no flood can move. When you practice Fudoshin, you don't fight the storm. You realize that you are the mountain, and the storm is just passing through. You see the insult, you hear the critique, you feel the anxiety, but none of it can change who you are. This is the true meaning of resilience. It is not bouncing back. It is never being moved in the first place. Akari began to understand that her fragility was just a lack of training. She had a mountain inside her. She just needed to find it. She needed to stop being the vase and start being the earth beneath it. The secret of the samurai is now in your hands. Now, let us learn how Akari began her training. Driven by a hunger for peace, Akari found herself standing at the gates of her grandfather's old abandoned dojo. The air here was different, thick with the scent of aged cedar and the heavy weight of centuries-old discipline. She wasn't there to learn how to fight with a sword. She was there to learn how to stop fighting herself. In the dim light of the training hall, she found a simple, handwritten manuscript titled The Way of the Mirror. The first sentence stopped her breath. The enemy is not the one who attacks you. The enemy is your reaction to the strike. All her life, Akari had blamed her boss, her family, and the world for her misery and her constant state of panic. But the scroll revealed a harsh, liberating truth. No one can disturb your peace unless you give them the keys to your dojo. If someone throws a hot coal at you, the text read, "You are the one who chooses to catch it and burn your own hands." For the first time, Akari looked at her many reflections: the office Akari, the daughter Akari, the perfect social media Akari. She saw them as masks, fragile and reactive. But beneath the layers of performance, there was something solid. Her grandfather's voice echoed in her memory. Observe your heart as if it were the vast sky. Akari, emotions are just weather. She sat on the cold floor, closed her eyes, and practiced a new form of vision. She watched a wave of anxiety rise. Instead of drowning in it, she simply whispered to the darkness, "I feel this anxiety, but I am not this anxiety." She watched the pressure from her family drift by like a dark, heavy cloud. It moved, it shifted, and then it began to fade. The sky behind the cloud, her true self, remained vast, blue, and utterly untouched by the storm. Akari had found the first crack in her prison. Now, she was ready to learn how to tear down the walls forever. Ancient wisdom is a ghost unless it is brought to life through action. Akari knew the theory. Now, she needed the method. To build her immovable mind, she began the 3 sacred disciplines of the modern warrior. The first is Kokyu the warrior's breath. When anxiety strikes, your heart becomes a drum out of rhythm. Akari learned to breathe not from her chest, but from her hera, her center of power. Inhale for 4 seconds, drawing in clarity. Hold. Exhale for 8 seconds, releasing the poison of 1,000 notifications. This isn't just relaxation. It is a tactical reset of your nervous system. It tells your body, the storm is outside, but the captain is in control. The second discipline is the detachment from the result. In Japanese, we call this musho toku action, without desire for profit. We suffer because we are addicted to the outcome. We fear the failure of the project before the first task is even finished. A samurai focuses 100% on the quality of the strike, yet remains indifferent to whether the blade hits or misses. When Akari stopped working for the promotion and started working for the excellence of the moment, her fear vanished. If you are detached from the result, you cannot be manipulated by the fear of error. You become free to be unstoppable. The final discipline is the shield of silence. In our modern world, we are taught that we must respond to every bark, an insult, a snide email, a passive-aggressive comment. We feel that if we don't react, we have lost the battle. But the samurai knows that every reaction is a leak of your vital power. It is giving your enemy exactly what they want. Silence is not the absence of words. It is the presence of absolute self-mastery. It is the highest demonstration of strength. When someone tries to provoke you, and you meet them with a calm, unshakable silence, you have already won. You are showing them that their fire cannot find any fuel in your dojo. You are the mountain, and they are just the wind. Akari practiced these 3 steps every morning. Slowly, the executive and the warrior began to merge into one. She was no longer waiting for the storm to pass. She was learning to walk through it without getting wet. But soon, life would test her. Her Fudoshin was about to face its ultimate trial. 3 months later, the storm finally arrived. It didn't come as a whisper, but as a catastrophic collapse. A high-stakes project, the one Akari had poured her soul into, failed due to a factor entirely out of her control. In the central boardroom, the air was cold and sharp. All eyes were on her, looking for someone to blame. The director's voice was a jagged blade, slicing through the silence. He questioned her competence, her future, her worth. The old Akari would have felt her throat tighten. She would have felt the familiar hot sting of tears and the urge to scream. But as the insults flew like arrows across the table, the new Akari did something that unsettled the entire room. She sat perfectly still. Her hands were not trembling. They were resting on the table like carved stone. She felt the surge of adrenaline, the fire of the attack, but she didn't let it catch. She used her Kokyu breath. Inhale, hold, exhale the chaos. She watched the director's anger as if it were a dark cloud passing over a distant valley. She realized in that moment that his fury was his own lack of self-mastery. It was his weakness, not hers. When he finally stopped, gasping for breath and waiting for her to break, the silence that followed was absolute. Akari didn't apologize. She didn't make excuses. She didn't give him the satisfaction of her pain. She waited 3 full seconds, the shield of silence letting his own words echo back at him until he looked away. Then her voice emerged. It was steady, low, and carried the weight of a mountain. "The situation is clear," she said. "The error is identified. Here is the strategy to fix it. We begin now." There was no ego. There was no fear. The people in the room didn't see an employee under pressure. They saw an Onna-Musha standing in the middle of a battlefield. She hadn't fought back with words. She had fought back with her being. She had become the immovable rock. The director, once so loud, could only nod. He had no more fire because Akari had offered him no more fuel. That night, Akari didn't go home to cry. She went home to a sanctuary that was finally, truly her own. She had passed her trial of fire, not by winning an argument, but by refusing to lose herself. The crystal vase was gone. In its place stood something that could never be broken. She was Fudoshin. Akari's life didn't become easier. She became stronger. The external world remained as chaotic as ever. The constant noise of the city, the endless emails, and the social whispers, they were all still there. But for Akari, they became like background static on a radio she had finally learned to tune out. This is how Fudoshin cures burnout. Burnout is the theft of your spirit by things that don't deserve it. Every time you overreact to a critique, you leak the vital energy you need for your own growth. When Akari stopped reacting to the trivial, she found she had a massive surplus of life force. She stopped waking up at 3 a.m. with her mind racing through imaginary arguments with her boss. Her sleep became deep and restorative, the sleep of a warrior who knows her gates are secure. Her relationships transformed. She was no longer defensive or needy for constant validation. She listened more. She reacted less. And in that new space, true intimacy began to grow. But the most radical change was her authority. She didn't have to raise her voice to be heard. There is a magnetic power in someone who cannot be rattled. It commands respect without saying a word. When you are no longer a crystal vase, people stop treating you like something they can break. They treat you like the mountain. They lean on you. They look to you for direction and strength. With her mind finally quiet, Akari could hear a voice she had ignored for years, the voice of her ikigai, her true purpose, her reason for waking up that had nothing to do with a salary or a job title. When the clouds of emotional reaction cleared, her path was illuminated with absolute clarity. She wasn't just surviving the modern world anymore. She was mastering it with grace and silent power. This is the promise of Fudoshin. Not a life without storms, but a heart that is the storm's master. Akari's journey is not a fairy tale. It is a blueprint. Her transformation is the mirror of your own potential. We often wait for the world to stop being difficult so we can finally be happy. We wait for the right time to be brave, but the samurai knew a truth that we have forgotten. The world will never stop throwing stones. The office will always have its pressures. The shadows of others' expectations will always linger. True power does not come from changing your circumstances. It comes from changing the one who experiences them. You may not have an ancient wooden dojo to retreat to, but you have something far more sacred. The dojo is not a place. It is a state of mind. It is the space between a stimulus and your response. In that space, you are the master. In that space, you decide whether to be the crystal vase or the mountain. Fudoshin is a muscle. Every time you choose silence over a quick retort, that muscle grows. Every time you breathe from your hera instead of reacting from your fear, you are becoming unbreakable. You have the light of 1,000 warriors inside you. It is time to stop letting the world blow it out. So I ask you today, what is the one thing, the one person, the one comment that currently steals your peace? Identify it, name it, and then reclaim your territory. Do not give them your energy another second. If you are ready to walk the path of the immovable mind, leave a sign for the Sisterhood of Warriors. Write in the comments, I am the mountain. Let these words be your first strike in reclaiming your life. We are building this dojo together. Your resilience is our strength. Your peace is our victory. Look at Akari one last time. She is walking into the rain. She has no umbrella, and she doesn't need one. The water falls, but she remains. The storm rages, but she smiles. She is home because she is her own sanctuary. Stand tall, warrior. The noise of the world is fading, and the voice of your soul is getting louder. Your path begins now. See you in the next lesson.